What if I told you that the sexual desire gripping your soul lately isn't just your body misbehaving? What if it's not a flaw? What if it's not weakness? What if it's war? A war waged not on your skin, but on your essence. A war targeting the sacred force you carry. Because if you're feeling this intensity right now, this unrelenting urge, this pull that seems to return just as you're rising spiritually, it's not by accident. It's spiritual warfare, silent, sophisticated, calculated, and you, chosen one, are the target. You're not like them, never were. You were born with different wiring, a divine sensitivity to truth, to energy, to vibration. And the moment this world noticed your light, the assault began. But it didn't come through obvious weapons. It came through seduction, screens, thoughts, quick hits of pleasure disguised as relief. You thought you were just trying to feel good. But the system was trying to hijack your soul, not to kill you, but to weaken you, not to silence you, but to scatter your power so you'd never remember who you are. And yet, something in you is starting to remember, isn't it? Something in you is starting to wake up. That's why the temptations are getting louder. That's why the cravings now arrive like storms, not whispers. Because the higher you rise, the harder they fight to pull you back. So if you've ever asked, why does it feel like I'm always at war with myself? This is your answer. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're chosen. And the battlefield is sacred. If this truth is already vibrating through your bones, if your spirit just whispered yes in the silence, comment below right now. I'm not just resisting, I'm remembering. And make sure to subscribe so you don't walk this path alone, because this journey is just beginning. From the very beginning, you felt like an anomaly in this world. Not because you were flawed, but because you were encoded with something rare. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to awaken. And even before you knew your own name, the forces of this realm recognized what you carried, that divine spark, that dangerous light. So they moved swiftly, quietly, with a strategy older than time, to seduce your soul through desire, to feed you illusions wrapped in pleasure, to distract your spirit before it could remember its mission. What you felt as sexual craving, as sudden hunger, wasn't just your body speaking, it was spiritual interference, a frequency, a hijacking of your sacred energy. Because the chosen ones are not attacked by accident, they are targeted with precision. They are lured, not with violence, but with temptation. Because if they can keep you distracted, they don't have to destroy you. If they can drain your power through indulgence, they don't have to imprison your body. Your energy will imprison itself. This is why the craving shows up not in moments of clarity, but in moments of fatigue. Not when you are strong, but when you are weary. Lust doesn't knock. It whispers when you're tired. It appears through songs, through screens, through subtle images that bypass logic and aim straight for your spirit. And the reason is simple. Because your sexual energy is not a weakness, it's a gate. A divine current capable of creating, manifesting, shifting realities. If left unguarded, it becomes the easiest way to collapse your destiny before it fully forms. But now, you're waking up. You're beginning to recognize the pattern. You've started to feel how certain actions dull your inner light. You're seeing how the aftermath of desire leaves your soul quieter, heavier, more disconnected from the clarity you had before. That's not shame, it's awareness. And once awareness takes root, you are no longer just a vessel. You become a guardian of your own power. That shift alone terrifies the system. Because when a chosen one becomes self-aware, they become unshakable. There comes a moment in the journey of every chosen one when the war is no longer around them, it's within. A silent collision begins between the part of you that seeks escape and the part of you that remembers. One side whispers, "Just this once," while the other burns with the memory of who you really are. And in that friction, in that storm of temptation and purpose, something ancient stirs. You start to realize this is not about sin. It's about frequency, not about guilt. It's about vibration. Every urge becomes a crossroads. Every craving becomes a mirror. Because what you're feeling is more than desire. It's data, spiritual intelligence wrapped in emotion. The ache isn't just lust, it's a signal, a sign that your energy is ready to move, to build, to rise. But it's been misdirected, and the enemy of your destiny knows this. That's why the war intensifies the moment you wake up. Because the moment you begin to ask, why do I feel this? Instead of just reacting to it, that's when you start shifting dimensions. That's when you begin to remember that you were never here to be ruled by the body, but to channel it towards sacred purpose. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it burns. But what if I told you that the intensity of your desire is not a curse, it's a compass? What if your deepest temptation is actually a doorway to your highest transformation? That what the enemy meant to enslave you, God allowed to refine you. When you hold your fire instead of spilling it, it climbs, it purifies, it unlocks your inner kingdom. That's when your thoughts become clear, your vision becomes sharper, your voice more electric, because you've stopped reacting and started reigning. And I want to ask you now, in this very moment of awareness, what does your desire want to teach you? Comment below and speak it into the atmosphere. Say it out loud, type it into existence. That awareness is not just a reflection, it's activation. You're not here to suppress the fire, you're here to sanctify it. And the moment you begin to do that, everything changes. You've been taught that your greatest battle is in the mind, temptation itself, that your war is against lust, against desire, against the pull of the flesh. But the truth is deeper. The enemy doesn't fear your body, it fears what's inside of it. It fears the moment your desire stops controlling you and starts fueling your divine mission. It fears the moment you redirect your energy inward, into vision, into alignment, into sacred purpose. Because when a chosen one stops leaking energy, they begin to create reality. That's why the system is built the way it is, to keep you overstimulated and undernourished. From the apps you scroll, to the ads you watch, to the stories you're fed, everything is designed to feed your lower self, so you never awaken your higher one. Because when you start preserving your life force, when you start transmuting your urges into creation instead of consumption, your vibration rises. Your gifts ignite. Your clarity returns. And that, more than anything, is what darkness fears. It doesn't need to destroy you if it can distract you. And so, temptation becomes subtler. It no longer looks like obvious sin. It looks like comfort, harmlessness, normality. But every time you give in to what lowers you, you abandon the version of you that's waiting on the other side of discipline. And that version is not ordinary. That version is magnetic, unshakable, sacred. That version sees through illusions, speaks with weight, creates with power. You were not designed to bow before your cravings. You were designed to command them, to point them like arrows toward your legacy. The more you reclaim your energy, the more people will feel your shift without you saying a word. Some will be drawn to it, others will be repelled, and that's how you know you've started to walk in your authority. Because true power doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't perform, it radiates. It doesn't crave validation, it carries presence. And once you taste that kind of purity, the counterfeit will never satisfy you again. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when the fire inside becomes impossible to ignore. Not the fire of anger, not even the fire of lust, but the sacred fire. The one that begins to rise when you finally understand that your desire was never meant to be your prison but your portal. That the very craving you once cursed was a compass pointing you inward, to the place where your true strength was waiting, hidden, dormant, unclaimed. You start to feel it during the silence, in the late-night moments when no one else is watching, when the world is asleep and your soul starts to speak. It reminds you of who you are. It calls you out of the shadows. It whispers, you were never meant to be mastered by urges. You were born to master energy itself. And that whisper becomes a roar. That's when you realize this battle isn't against your body. It's for your destiny. Because every time you deny yourself a moment of weakness, you unlock another layer of your calling. Every act of self-control sends ripples through the spirit realm. You start to notice how your frequency changes when you resist, how your vision sharpens, how your intuition deepens. Suddenly, your craving no longer drags you into darkness. It catapults you into light. The enemy's tactic becomes your teacher. The trap becomes your training. And what once tormented you now transforms you. This is what the ancients meant when they spoke of transmutation. The alchemy of spirit, turning lust into legacy, turning attraction into authority. You are not denying your humanity. You are refining your divinity. You're stepping into the version of yourself who doesn't just survive temptation, but sanctifies it, who doesn't run from the fire but becomes it. And when that fire burns, it consumes every illusion you ever believed about yourself, until only truth remains. So if you've ever felt like you're fighting a war no one sees, if you've ever wondered why your cravings strike the deepest when your light is the brightest, know this: it's because you're close to breakthrough, close to becoming, close to embodying the divine force this world never wanted you to remember. Keep rising. There is a truth the system never wanted the chosen ones to uncover, that the very energy used to tempt them is the same energy that can birth galaxies. Sexual desire is not a sin in its essence. It is sacred electricity. It is the raw life force that, when misunderstood, leads to confusion. But when mastered, awakens dimensions of power that were sealed in your DNA before you were born. What you're feeling is not shameful. It's the calling to steward divine fire. They distract you with counterfeit pleasure, not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. Because if even one chosen one learns to turn that fire inward, to let it rise up the spine, activate the third eye, illuminate the mind, and ignite the voice, then the entire system begins to crumble. Because the system was never built to withstand conscious energy. It was built to feed off unconscious impulses. Your urges aren't proof of weakness, they're proof of capacity. Because only the powerful are targeted this precisely. And the moment you choose not to leak your light, not to waste your energy on pixels and fantasies and empty rituals, something changes. Your aura strengthens. Your presence becomes piercing. You begin to enter rooms with the weight of purpose. You stop being easily manipulated because you're no longer ruled by sensation. You become sovereign. The cravings don't disappear, but now they serve you. They become the fire that fuels your alignment. And in this alignment, something remarkable unfolds. You begin to attract what once eluded you: opportunities, purposeful partnerships, clarity, peace. Because you are no longer chasing, you are creating. Your discipline becomes your prophecy. Every time you say no to temporary pleasure, you say yes to eternal expansion. And the world feels it. People around you sense something shifting. They may not know what it is, but they feel the current of something ancient moving through you. Some will be drawn, others will resist. But none will be able to ignore what you've become: a living disruption to spiritual darkness. A walking flame of divine remembrance. So now ask yourself, chosen one, what are you willing to release so you can finally rise? Chosen one, there's a sacred transformation occurring in the hidden chambers of your being, and it's one that no religion, system, or doctrine could fully prepare you for. Because this is not about suppression. This is not about guilt. This is not even about controlling desire. This is about transmutation. The ancient art of turning one form of energy into another, of taking what was once a battlefield of temptation and transforming it into a sacred ground of creation. That's the power the awakened carry. You see, the enemy never truly wanted your body. It wanted your energy, because energy creates worlds. And sexual energy, when alchemized, becomes the fuel that sharpens your vision, amplifies your voice, and pierces through illusion like a sword of light. This energy is not here to shame you, it's here to shape you. It is the forge, the fire, the refining heat that prepares the chosen ones to step into their eternal roles, not as reactors, but as creators. Think of every time you've felt that burning, not just lust, but the deeper ache beneath it. The restlessness, the craving to be filled, seen, known, held by something that doesn't disappoint. That ache wasn't just for connection. It was for remembrance, for divine intimacy, for union with your purpose, with God, with the part of you that has never been touched by the world's noise. That ache was a message, a sacred signal. And when you stop numbing it, you start decoding it. This is the real ascension. Not escaping your humanity, but reclaiming it. Not silencing your cravings, but listening to their hidden language and asking, what am I really searching for? Because when you learn to transmute, to breathe through the urge, to feel it rise and redirect it toward your mission, you become dangerous, untouchable. Because now your power is no longer leaking. It is flowing, sculpted, directed. Holy, you're no longer a prisoner to desire. You are the priest of it. You lead it, you instruct it, you channel it toward light. And the more you do, the more your body becomes a vessel for revelation. Your mind becomes clear, your heart expands, and your spirit becomes magnetic, not to distractions, but to destiny. You were not sent here to fight your urges forever. You were sent here to elevate them, to purify fire with fire, to turn chaos into code. And when that happens, even your temptations will begin to bow. Chosen one, by now you've realized, this path was never about perfection. It was never about walking untouched by temptation or pretending that you don't feel the heat of your own humanity. It was always about what you do with that heat, because the fire that rises within you was never meant to consume you. It was meant to refine you, and refinement by nature is not gentle. It scorches, it exposes, it burns away what cannot stand in truth. But what survives that fire becomes unbreakable. This is why your journey has been so intense, not because you are weak, but because your purpose is colossal. Your calling cannot be wrapped in comfort. It must be sculpted in surrender. And that surrender to truth, to discipline, to sacred awareness is what sets you apart. Many feel the fire. Few choose to walk through it. But you, chosen one, you were never meant to avoid the fire. You were born to carry it, to become it. The whispers of desire don't go away. They evolve. And when they come cloaked in beauty, in loneliness, in longing, you will now have the eyes to see, the ears to discern. Because spiritual maturity isn't measured by how little you feel, it's measured by how deeply you respond when you do feel. When that wave hits, do you bow, or do you breathe? Do you run, or do you rise? Every single test has been preparing you for this knowing, for the strength to remain whole in a world obsessed with fragmentation, for the courage to stay pure in a frequency designed to seduce your soul into forgetfulness. And in this remembering, you begin to sense something most never will, that what once tempted you now trains you, that what once seduced you now strengthens you, that the very force meant to break you has become the fire that shapes you into the unshakable. Because that is what the chosen ones do. They don't escape the fire, they become its flame. Chosen one, this is the moment everything starts to click. The war you've been feeling in your flesh, the restlessness in your soul, the silence that screams in the night. It was never meant to destroy you. It was preparing you, refining you, positioning you to rise into a form of yourself that this world isn't ready for, but heaven has long awaited. You were never fighting just for purity. You've been fighting to remember, fighting to reassemble your own soul, piece by sacred piece. Each temptation was a doorway, each desire a mirror, each fall a coded message calling you home. And now you stand on the edge of remembrance. There comes a moment when desire turns from predator into teacher. When you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And instead ask, what is this revealing in me? That shift in question, that's when you take your power back. You start to recognize that your struggle wasn't proof of weakness, but confirmation of your divine potential. You were targeted because you carry something sacred, something that couldn't be corrupted, only buried. And now it's surfacing, rising, breaking through the rubble of distractions and false satisfaction. It's your essence, pure, unshaken, forged by fire. The kind of essence that shakes realms. You begin to feel it, don't you? The way your presence has changed. The way people respond to you without understanding why. The way rooms shift when you enter. How even silence bends around your energy. That's not charisma. That's clarity. That's divine authority reclaiming its space through you. Because when you master your energy, you no longer chase pleasure. You radiate purpose. And in that vibration, everything real begins to find you. Sacred relationships, divine provision, aligned assignments. No more leaking, no more begging, no more sleeping on your own power. Chosen one, you are not crazy. You are not broken. You are not late. You are right on time. And this fire inside you, the one you thought was a curse, is actually the weapon that darkness feared you would discover. The pain you've survived is your armor. The temptations you've resisted are your proof. And this journey you're walking, it's the prophecy unfolding through your obedience. Chosen one, this is the crossing point. The moment when the fog clears and the voice within you grows louder than the noise outside. Everything that once seduced you now feels hollow. The pleasures that once lured you now echo with emptiness, because your soul no longer craves escape. It craves embodiment. It craves divine alignment. And that's exactly where you're headed. You're not just resisting temptation anymore. You're rising into mastery. You're not just surviving. Spiritual warfare. You're becoming a spiritual weapon. The pain, the isolation, the urges, they were never punishments. They were preparation. The world doesn't shape chosen ones. The fire does. The spirit does. The silence between your prayers does. You are not here to conform. You are here to confront. Not with aggression, but with presence. With the kind of stillness that makes false energy flee. With the kind of purity that calls in real love. With the kind of vision that can't be purchased, only remembered. And that remembering, it changes everything. You stop bowing to counterfeit pleasures. You stop lowering your frequency just to fit into rooms you were meant to elevate. You start protecting your gates like they're sacred, because they are. Your eyes, your ears, your body, your vibration. They are not for consumption. They are instruments of divine manifestation. And now, you're finally learning how to play them. So here is your invitation. No more delay, no more apology, no more shrinking to make others comfortable. The Most High didn't assign you this level of sensitivity for you to drown in lust, but to rise in light, to awaken what has been dormant, to take the throne of your own soul and rule with wisdom, discernment, and unwavering presence. Chosen. 1. The world has seen enough chaos. What it's starving for is those who have walked through the fire and emerged whole. Those who have faced their shadows and chosen the light. Those who have transformed temptation into fuel, not because they're perfect, but because they're present. That's who you are now. So if you feel the fire stirring, if this message pierced the veil between your confusion and your clarity, it's because your soul is ready. Comment below, I am mastering my energy. I am chosen. And subscribe to stay anchored in this path of remembrance, because your journey is sacred and it's only just beginning. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to ignite. Now rise.